Okay, good evening. Welcome again to the third talk of the covenant orientation. And it's about strengthening the family life. So, as we know, this third talk is having to look into our family and how we can be an instrument of God's love towards others as well. And because we are CFC, and as we recall, Couples for Christ is a Christian family life renewal ministry, and it is meant to support not just couples, but to strengthen our families as well. So, at one point in life, we do take care of between the two of us as couple, but now that we have children or we will have grandchildren and so on, we will also have to take care of that. And how we strengthen that is the call or a mission for us to for the Lord. And the strength of our family in CFC will determine the extent that the Lord can use us for His purpose. So this is very important because, our family, again, the strength of our family in CFC will determine the extent that the Lord can use us for His purpose. So what we're doing to our family is strengthening the Christian values, the personal relationship we have, and our prayer life and our faith to God. And once we have that strength within that in the family, then the Lord can use that to also renew others as well. So and for His purpose. So that is important to understand. And we're not just a family standard family or an ordinary family, but we have a purpose to do. So we're not just growing kids, we're not just brothers. The brothers will just go to work and then provide food on the table. The wife will be the housemaker and so on. But no, it's not only that, but it is that there is purpose behind that. Other than what we provide the basic needs, we are to become a family life that can renew as well as ourselves and others. And that is our mission, brothers and sisters. And so the family, as you know, is the basic unit of society. So the condition of the individual families will determine the condition of society as whole, diba? So one cell of our body, if the cell is good, then and most of the cells are good, then you will have probably a healthy body, diba? So Sis Debbie is a nurse. I'm sure she understand that. So if there's something wrong with our body, we know that one because some parts of our body maybe are undergoing some challenges. So siguro may issues sa organs, sa tissues and so on. And that will be shown on how our body will function, diba? So it's important to know that we as a family is strong because that will also flourish as a society, diba? So this is basic unit of a society. The work of our strengthening the family is the best way for us to work for moral regeneration of society. In the Catholic teachings, the family is considered the fundamental and foundational unit of society, often referred to as domestic church. So it is where faith, love, and values are first taught and lived out, and the family is seen as a reflection of God's love and a vital part of His plan for humanity. On a detailed look at this in the Catholic perspective. So, first, it is a foundation of society. Second, it is the domestic church. Third, you might notice this already, it is a sacrament of love, diba? So, our marriage with each other is a sacrament of love. And of course, within that family, there is nurturing of faith and values. So, we get to have that opportunity to grow and nurture our own family, our children, ourselves, and with each other, husband and wife. And then we also have the support and encouragement with each other. And of course, as a man and woman, we have the call to procreate, so and to form new life, diba? So this is important, and this is the purpose of one of the purpose of a family is to procreate. because God said, go out and procreate. And challenges in the secular world, we acknowledge that as well, because the Catholic Church recognizes these challenges that families face in secular world and encourage them to be strong in the faith and values, resisting negative cultural influences. So our family, like, because our mission is a renewal, then therefore we have to be strong from these cultural indifferences. So we have to be strong so that we can, continue the work of God. Remember, the work of God also started in the time of is the slavery in Egypt, diba? So up until now, it's still ongoing. So that is why we cannot stop as a ministry. We cannot stop continuing to strengthen our family. And the importance of prayer as well. So with this family, we can have you know, the the environment for us to pray together. So if it's October, then we do the Holy Rosary, and if it's even in the evening, we do the prayer before we go to sleep, and in the morning we go to prayer as well. And what are the roles within the family? So basically, the church outlines specific roles for husband and wives, parents and children, our parents. Then it emphasizes love, respect, cooperation when raising a child, diba? So that is how to build a strong family. Now, there are 7 ways of strengthening the family life. So let's break it down. So first is understanding better the meaning of commitment in marriage. To live, second would be to live more fully the principles of the Christian personal relationships. Third will be to make home as a center of family life. Fourth will be the interaction with Christian families. Fifth will be exercising greater control over the family use of media and of time. And then six would be the development of Christian peer environments for young people. So lastly, then we become a pastor of our children. So there are 7 ways. So let's dwell into them individually. So first one, understand better the meaning of our commitment to our spouse in marriage, diba? So it is important that we understand the meaning of that commitment, because it is not based merely on emotion, but it is a covenant fidelity, diba? So it is a commitment. So it is a marriage is a commitment, is a relationship of commitment and service. So with that commitment, right, we serve each other. By serving each other is, if someone is sad, then we fill in that, we help them carry over. If it's someone is, doesn't know how to cook, then the husband will cook. And if someone is busy with something, then someone will do the other chores. So that is the kind of commitment. And of course, because it mentions here, it's not just emotion, diba? We undergo highs and lows. Emotions are very, very temporal, when we before yung when we were still, dating, the emotions is high, so looking forward to meet each other, and then finally you get to the altar, and then I say I do, yes, the emotions again are so high. But now when you start doing the daily grind, right, as a family, sometimes the emotions is there, sometimes it's not, right? So therefore we have to be going beyond. We should transcend that, because this marriage that we have, it's not based on emotion. It is based on confident covenant fidelity. Now, there's also the need to recognize that we are first committed to God. Therefore, our feelings, like likes and dislikes, and our will are all subordinated to God's will and plan for us. So that's very important, because before anything else, right, our feelings, likes and dislikes, and our will are all subordinated to God's will and plan for us. There is a verse in the Bible that says, God said that, before you are born, I have already set the path for you. And I think that's one of the verses in Jeremiah, if I'm not mistaken. But that just meant that, before we were born, right, God already knows what is for us. And that's why we are all subordinated to God's will and plan for us. So Our path, my path, is to have a family, to grow a family. Your path is also to grow to a family, and that is what God is has built for us or paved the way for us. And during moments of difficulty, we can always turn to the Lord. We recognize that God is the architect of our marriage and knows how best for it to work. So, diba, that's what commitment is all about, or covenant fidelity. We definitely need strength to hang on because we the paper that we signed as a marriage contract doesn't have the strength for us to continue moving on. The only strength that we can rely on is God's strength, diba? So in terms of difficulty, terms of siguro disagreement or maybe indifferences, then we have God to lean on because He is the architect of our marriage. Now, in let me exhort this verse to you, brothers and sisters, because it's important that in case we are in difficulty with our marriage, Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So, this is Jesus' invitation for us to find rest and relief from weariness and burdens by accepting his teachings and following his example. It highlights Jesus' gentle and humble nature, contrasting it with the heavy burdens imposed by, legalistic religious practices of the time, diba? So, this one is plainly loving each other, diba? And you can lean on to God. And ultimately, the passage emphasizes that true rest for the soul is found in the relationship with Christ and learning from Him. So, second ways we strengthen our family is to live more fully the principles of Christian personal relationship. So, what is Christian personal relationship? Let me summarize this in one simple statement. Remember this: before we are husband and wife, or you as husband and wife, we are all brothers and sisters in the Lord. So that summarizes our personal relationships. Before we are husband and wife, we are all brothers and sisters in the Lord. The moment we are baptized, at the moment we receive that sacrament, the Holy Spirit, we are all children of God. I think you remember in your FCL talk number one about being a daughter and sons of our God, right? Of God. So that explains that, and that's when we are all brothers and sisters at first. That's why it's important when we address each other as brothers and sisters. This is all Christian. This is all about Christian personal relationship. It's not just parang ways of addressing lang or ways of welcoming, bro, sis. But there's meaning to that. There is meaning to that, and that's what it meant to be to have a personal relationship, a Christian personal relationship. And because we're married, that's when now we elevate that relationship. That's when now we become, husband and wife. No? So so that's important. And then, as an any really Christian relationship, we ought to manifest our daily living with the fruit of the Holy Spirit. So, what are the examples of the fruit of the Holy Spirit? We show love, kindness, compassion. All this stuff can be shared with each other, and we are to love and serve each other, to handle our feelings in the right way, and so on. The husbands and wives living out the New Testament teaching on personal character and relationships would be a large part of our faithfulness in living our commitment to each other as spouses. So the demand of Christian personal relationships are more than just the practice of human virtues. We are called to unconditionally love and serve each other, diba? So that is our challenge to everyone, to each and everyone. So let's look at each other. So Bro Bryce and Sis Debbie, look at each other, and Sis Marie and Bro Ram, you know, what are your relations where are you in your relationship? Are you into that unconditional love and service with each other, diba? So that would help us remind with each other, diba? So because alone will now strengthen our family. So that's one way, right? So that's the second way of strengthening the family life. So again, before we are husbands and wife, we are brothers and sisters in the Lord, and we are called to unconditional love and service with each other. Let me exhort this again to you, brothers and sisters. And Jesus said, "But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your heavenly Father, for he makes his sun rise on the bad and the good. He causes rain to fall on the just and the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what recompense will you have? Do not tax the do not the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet your brothers only, what is unusual about that? Do not the pagans do the same? So be perfect, just as your heavenly Father is perfect." So this passage challenges us, the believers, to live a life full of love that transcends natural human tendency, di ba, to reciprocate. So tendency to reciprocate. Yung tendency ba na you only love because I want, I also want something in return, di ba? So, no, we have to transcend that, unconditional nga. So you have to look at this: love your enemies because your enemies will not love you back, di ba? And pray for those who persecute you because those persecuting you are not gonna pray for you, di ba? So that is the kind of service and love that we are to show each other, and that can strengthen our family life. All right. Okay. So third way is to make the home a center of family. So in many families, the relationship between the parents and children is much weaker than it should be, unfortunately, di ba? Maybe if you're in Couples for Christ, your awareness will increase, but probably if you have undergone this teaching and applied it, then yes, you will have a chance to have, a stronger relationship between parents and children. So because parents usually, as we grow, as your children grow, di ba? Parents are not sufficiently available to our children. So that's a reality nowadays. Both of the parents are working away, and then we send them to childcare, di ba? Unlike noon before that, the mothers focus on the children, and the husband work, but of course when they come home they're all attention. And even when you're at home, there's a lot of distraction, di ba? There's a lot of distraction. Yeah. So maraming, gawin ko muna to. May nag-message sa hanggang wala talagang opportunity. There's no opportunity, or we lessen our time with our children. So let us make an effort to, be intentional of focusing and be attentive to our children. And secondly, children are resistant to direction and indifferent to parents' wishes. So as they grow old, diba? So they develop their critical thinking, they develop their, adulthood, teens, for example, and then they want to discover here and there, and then finally, when they reach the adulthood, they have their own, critical thinking, and that's when naturally it becomes resistant to direction, diba? So and that is another challenge for us. So we have to really, we have to make an effort again, because when we if it's a baby, that's all right, because we can teach him, we can ask him to do this stuff, and then teach him to do something, a good moral value. But once he or she starts developing, then that's a different approach again. So if we are not attentive to the change, di ba? Na, uy, biglang nag-change na pala. So therefore, I have to also adapt to the ways I'm gonna approach or teach my children, because yeah, they change, and it's a tendency, it's a natural tendency to resist. Di ba? I think, I don't know why, because it's probably one of the reason why we have original sin, di ba? That we tend to disobey whatever that is, di ba? So it's inherent to human being. Okay, so one reason then is because the home is no longer the center of work, education, and care for the sick and aged. Consequently, it is no longer full of activities that are essential for life. which involve parents and children together. And an example of this is, eating together, diba? So, if it's so difficult to eat together during breakfast because everyone will have different timing to go out, so children go to school earlier than parents go to work, then then find a time. And I think dinner is always the best time to be together, diba? And everyone will be there, and you make it mandatory, make it the center of our home. And before we go to sleep, make it the center of our home to pray if we cannot pray in the morning together. And of course, in the lunchtime, you were all in school, either in school or at work, diba? And then maybe you can have some check-in time, like for example, 3 o'clock. How's our children? Are they at home? Or kumbaga, check in any time of the day. Make it a rule that where the children are, how they are doing. Could be lunch break as well, so you can call them wherever they are. So I'm speaking because my children are already grown up now. But I think for you, I'm sure you can make some time how to spend time with your young children as well. So, but yeah, I'm just giving an example that the dynamics will change as they grow old. Yes. So families should develop opportunities to expand the range of tasks and services and activities in the home in ways that bring parents and children together. So chores. So we give them chores. No, we give them, someone will do the laundry, someone will do the cleaning of the toilet, someone will do the, dishwashing and so on. I grew up in that environment, and here as well, we try to replicate that. But because my dishwasher, my we already have a washing machine, so looks like it's everything is already removed from us, diba? So that makes it even challenging. Before is all of us will in the weekend, all of us will go to a downstairs to wash our clothes manually, di ba? And then I have my auntie, my mom washing together, di ba? Early in the morning so that we can hang it in the whole day. But now it's different. You can just chuck it into our washing machine, and then you part ways, and then go to your room, and then you watch movie and so on. So it's very very easy to how do you call that, to not to interact because of all this thing. And parents need to make a decision to bring back life in the home and make time for it. So it's an intentional effort, and it's an important element as well, that because that activity itself, it will generate, it can give you bonding, diba? So what you call bonding and development of relationship. Okay, so we must make our home not merely a physical structure, but a place where family members experience love, warmth, and encouragement. Don't make your home like a dormitory, di ba? In dormitory is everyone will just go in, they cook their food, and then sometimes you don't talk to each other. You just label your food on the ref, and then you know that this is your part, and you only probably see each other passing on the hallway. So let's not make it that way, because that is not a home. So that is a dormitory. So that is a challenge for us because, like I mentioned, there are a lot of automation happening in our house already, diba? So let's be intentional. Fourth is interact with Christian families. So not only has parent child interaction in the home has been reduced, but interaction between generations outside the home has also declined. So not only parent child interaction has reduced, but also our interaction with other Christian families. So how sad, diba? So it becomes that we are now in the era where we are quite lonely. We tend to, we're just happy by ourselves, or we're just happy with our own family. Let's just say we're close with each family, but we don't actually go out and interact with other Christian families. So we are into this kind of era. I don't know about you, brothers and sisters, but in the Philippines, right? We know our neighbors. When there is a party, they invite us, and there's a birthday, they invite us, and then it's very very happy. And then because we know each other, diba? But in here it's quite different, especially here, diba? So you call it cultural, but still, when we are there's an opportunity, like we can just pick up the phone, call, we can do a video call, we can even visit families and do some have dinner together. And of course, for couples for Christ, it's getting easier and easier because now we can interact because of the household, the fellowship that we are organizing for that. So that's very very that can help us grow, interact with Christian families. So in employment, educational, and recreational settings, people are placed with their age peers and are isolated from the people who are much older. You also notice that in the office, diba? That they have groupings here for almost the same age, another groupings here for another different generation and so on. So we tend to be exclusive, so therefore we create boundaries, and therefore we lessen the interaction with Christian families. um, so this in turn, it is a major contributor to the weakening of parent-child relationship, especially parents' ability to train their child once they reach school age. So again, when they reach school age, they will have their social circle, they will have their different groupings again, and that's when they will develop that kind of societal trait, that and then that will become their norm later on as they grow on. So let's try not to let them be. So we still have to bring them to maybe KFCs, Kids for Christ, or YFC, so that they will have an interaction with their families of Christian values, or we bring them to the parishes so that they also have that kind of environment. Without this, let's just say you're not couples for Christ, you are also not doing the mass. The norms would be just I only talk to my closest friends, and these friends probably not Christian, or these friends could be they're Christian but not really that faithful. So life would be different, right? So I can't imagine having that kind of life if you already know you are a couples for Christ, right? So I can't go back to that old ways already because it feels like empty for me, to be honest. So let's strive to interact with Christian families. So with that, right, I would like to ask Sis Marie how they're doing in terms of sharing or interacting with their children, Hyacinth, with their child as his daughter. Yes, this is.
Yeah. For us, usually every time we are eating, for example, at this time, since I'm doing casual work, so lately we're eating the same time the breakfast, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So all of us breakfast together, and also during dinner. So every time we talk, how is our day? So each one of us would share, like Hyacinth would tell us what's happening to their class or her friends. And then the good thing about that is if we are together, especially in the morning, we always encourage Hyacinth to lead the prayer while we're in the car. That's what we usually do. And then apart from that, we always encourage her, since Bro Mark already mentioned, to interact with Christian families. So every time there's an activity in our community, we always tell her, oh, you talk to the different kids there, you also socialize. And apart from that is to participate as well.
Yeah. Adding to that, we also encourage her to provide to give service during the Holy Mass. Like she serves as an altar server during
Mhm.
the 10:30 Mass.
At St.
So at
Mary's
at St. Mary's
Parish.
Northcote
Yeah.
Parish, yeah. So with that, it also encourages her friends as well, and also the other little kids who knows Hyacinth to join the outer
Altar
ser-
server.
outer servers. So in that way, that's how we convey giving service to the community, especially to the church.
Yeah.
So that's one way how we encourage everyone.
And also, we were so happy that even if, for example, Hyacinth is not on the roster, if she knew that no one is there, she always volunteer to serve. So it's really like, as a parent, it's like you just don't tell her, oh, you serve, but she's the one already doing it. So it's like you're so proud with her, and at the same time, you always tell her that, affirming her that she's already serving God without expecting anything in return.
Yeah, and also with that, as you know, Hyacinth is also acting as a big sister to the children within the household. Not in the household, but during CPAs, she acts as a big sister to the other small kids. So she shows love, care to those little kids, and I think she's a good example on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how we interact with Christian families. Yeah, that's how we show it.
Yeah. So with that, may God be praised.
Thank you. Sambagsak. Congratulations, Bro Ram and Sis Marie. So you've been living really
Thank you.
Thank you.
the values of how to strengthen families, diba? So as you mentioned, it's not a character of it becomes Hyacinth becomes, you know, has the character to already serve God by, being an ate and looking after
Mm,
children.
mm,
And she's very mature in a way sa age niya ngayon, that she's really really looking after.
mm.
And in our household too, if I may just add to that, she is also very sweet to everyone, although to Savio, diba? So Savio, and to especially to our
Yeah.
dogs. She
Mm,
likes dogs, to Lucky. And she also
mm.
my daughter is also enjoying conversing with Hyacinth, because they are very very they are on the same wavelength, kumbaga, because they both are in
Ah,
Carmel.
yeah.
Yes, and it's a Catholic school, and that character building is really, really, I'm happy to see them having that dynamics or interaction, because
Yeah,
you probably cannot
it's
probably
hard.
find that in other environment, diba? So so that's really good, and because I believe that you are on track, you are building, or you are fulfilling God's plan and purpose to pave the way for more Christian generations to come. So remember, as I mentioned, that God started his work since the time of the Israelites being enslaved by in Egypt, and now he's still doing this work, and this is us actually being used, right? So let's not be distracted again with the secular world, and we can see that in our children, and it is our then obligation or duty to make sure that we won't be astray to the values or the track that God has given us already. So thank you, Bro Ram and Sis Marie, for sharing. Okay,
Mm.
so again, Christian families should find ways to share their lives in one another, and by working together, having a social life together, and helping one another in practical ways that involve people of different ages. So another practical example could be, joint Lord's Day. I know a brother, sister Bromon, and the Magtoto family. They are they are regularly doing joint Lord's Day celebration. And you can also plan for vacation. Doesn't have to be extravagant. You want to travel outside Auckland, then you can also, that will really detach you from, work, stress from work, from the daily monotony. Yeah, if you're in the habit, like, when you wake up in the morning on a Saturday, first thing to do is laundry, blah blah, and then now you're stuck with the chores, diba? You're stuck with the routine. Now break that by, all of you go out, go somewhere, and then go picnic, go to the beach, and then, then suddenly you're on together, you're attentive to each other. So outings is important as well. Okay. Right. So just mention that. Okay. So we already are in a such network of families in CFC. Let's be grateful. So that, because this is now our vehicle, diba? This is now our way to strengthen our family. So let's really, I would say, value and be grateful of CFC, because this is where we can strengthen our family. And I really, really, so for me, just a short sharing, I'm so sad to, when we keep on inviting our friends, hey, CLP is now ongoing. Are you ready now for our community and so on? They said no. They're not ready. They're busy and so on. So it's just really disheartening. It's disheartening to hear that one, because we have been so blessed with the community, and if only they can borrow our lives for just 1 hour and see what the community is doing. If they can have embody our our life for just 1 hour, they will see that, oh, after that they would probably change their mind right away, diba? So if they see that, but unfortunately it's not possible. So we'll just continue evangelizing, however that is. And not only in CFC, right? So there's also parish church involvement. So I know some of you are serving the church, so continue what you're doing, because that is one way to really uh, be in a network of Christian family. Number 5, exercise greater control over the family use of media and of time. So that is important, diba? So media here doesn't just mean Facebook, Instagram, social media, but any media that comes into us. So it could be what we see in TV or what we see in the bulletin. When we drive to motorway, there is like a huge, advertisement there, or maybe somebody, you're listening to a radio, somebody said something, and then it's against our values, then we have to exercise greater control. And then, most importantly, or mostly, we are distracted with really the mobile phone, wherein there's Facebook and so on, right? So that's where we really have to, be conscious of what's running in our mind, because the moment we keep on scrolling, that will eat up that will take space in our mind, diba? Even how small that is, even if it's just 20 seconds of reels, it will already take space in our mind. So our real estate in our mind is very, very expensive. So don't allow it to be used by media if it is not, if it's not for Christian values. So therefore, be on guard. Always do always have a self check. Is this for God? Is it good for my spiritual life? Is it good for my family? Ask that question all the time, and make sure that what you receive from media. Sometimes we cannot control it. We just see it right away, right? So, but exercise control over it. And you can do that as well, like, abruptly cutting it off, like, do not open Facebook, for example, or just maybe allow yourself for 30 minutes, or for children, 30 minutes. For us, we are already the adult, maybe we can control that. But for children, most importantly, cut it off right away, right? Because they're not ready. They don't have the ability to think on their feet. So therefore, give that extra control over the use of media and time. So, as we know, many families do not deal strongly enough with intrusion of media. Mass media may have almost unlimited access to our family. The formation of our young minds is given over to the information and entertainment industry. Remember, brothers and sisters, the people who are developing that commercials, that brandy ay mga ano ba, prime time commercials, their profession is to make sure that they get your attention, right? So that is, and so far they're very successful. They always get our attention because that's their job, right? That's the profession. They know how to, put up colors. They know how to speak the right words so that you can, relate right away. And then suddenly I'm attached to it. Diba? Suddenly you keep on searching about that already. Suddenly you are now distracted, right? Instead of, you're meant to read the Bible. Now you are meant to go into the path of what the information came to us. So let's just be on guard. Suddenly, nag-shopping na si Sis Mario, si Sis Debbie. May biglang advert ang lumalabas, di ba? So not knowing, di ba? So let's be on guard. Um, because media really can dampen family activity and communication. So there's a lot of divided thoughts, di ba? Like LGBTQ, like the what's happening in the US right now. So there's a lot of divided thoughts, and sometimes it's difficult to find what is right or wrong already, what is true or not true. So just a very good example is that when people keep on saying the wrong thing, sometimes it becomes so real and it becomes the truth, and that's when the danger is, right? So because people repeatedly consciously say the lies, and that becomes a truth, and that's on our side. We really have to have an exercise of greater control of this media, and the only way to do that really is to be rooted on the gospel, find out that is always the truth, and whatever that is, stick to it, di ba? Okay, so we should monitor and control the flow of information from the internet, the books, magazine, comics, records, and television programs in our home. Decide what is allowed in the home. Decide how much is allowed to be consumed. So, like I mentioned, maybe give yourself for entertainment purposes 1 hour. Manood ka ng scroll ka ng Facebook, parang kahit ano, just for unwinding, di ba? But not to the point that, you can only go to sleep until you finish while you're scrolling, di ba? So that's not a healthy lifestyle. So next is the sixth one is develop Christian peer environments for young people. Age peer environments are important. Peer groups are powerful force in the lives of young people. We do not seek to avoid this, but to redirect them. So yeah, bring them into the same peer group, just like Hyacinth and her peers. So it doesn't have to be 10 plus 10 minus 10 years gap. Sometimes they will find it, they will have that peer of young people, and we do not seek to avoid this but to redirect them. So we're not trying to be inclusive as well, so but you can always have guide them that that's all right to be with this peer. If they're not really practicing Catholic, then that's fine. They will learn something about it as well, even if they're Christian but non-practicing Catholic. So that's fine, because we learn from each other as well. And we should strive to get our children into our family ministries. They will develop strong, supportive relationship with their own peers. We will have a real alternative to often intensely secular peer environments that are not Christian in orientation, and they will be tied intimately to the life of the larger body. So I think we know most of the. I mean, we know someone who is really grown from KFC to YFC, SFC to now CFC, right? So they have grown that path, and we can see how their lives are really working in them, what's how their lives are. So hopefully we can. Unfortunately, I didn't grow as a KFC, but I've seen that there's beauty in having KFC to SFC or to CFC. Then why not our children undergo that as well as early as KFC, because that's when there's a better chance to make him a better person. Kumbaga, we're not saying 100% on the same path, di ba? Kasi meron naman talaga siguro na who probably doesn't end up what we 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 hope for, but giving them to the ministries from KFC up to whatever ministries we have, they will have a better chance of being a better person. And of course, with God's help and our prayer, then we can entrust that our children will grow beautifully. So they will be tied intimately into the life of a larger body, which is the couples for Christ. Lastly, is we become pastors of our children. So our work doesn't end up like providing food, providing clothing, providing so on and so forth. We are pastors of our children. We teach them the way of Jesus. We teach them the way of the Christian values. We ourselves also have to live it and to do show them as a model. It doesn't stick, diba, if children will see us, talking something, but they're seeing that we're doing something else, diba? So it's very contrasting. So they won't believe in that. It's difficult for them to absorb. But if they see both, like they see that we become also an embodiment of Christ teaching, and we also teach that to them verbally, then that's more powerful, and that we would be more effective pastors to them. So parents must work actively to train and form their children in Christian faith and character. So therefore, brothers and sisters, we have to look at ourselves as well, where we are in our faith journey, how strong we are in our prayer life, how strong we are with living the life of Christian values, where which fruits of the Holy Spirit are we strong enough? Are we so loving? Are we so kind? Are we so compassionate? So those are the things that an example that we can show our children, and it starts with also with us and our prayer time. So our goal is to train them for life, imbued with Christian ideals and values. We should give them our Christian heritage. This will be heritage, but this is like our legacy, our once we are finished with this world, we know that they can grow by themselves already, and now it's time for them to do what we are doing. So because that's how life is, we have to pass on the ideals, we have to pass on that one. Otherwise, Christianity or the words of Jesus will stop somehow if we don't continue this ministry. And but because God moves mysteriously, that's why whether we like it or not, it's happening, right? Like I mentioned in the beginning, before we are born, God already set our path. So trust that what we're doing now is because God already set it to be. So therefore, just go on with the life, with our lives, and just go on with the ministry. And I believe, or we all believe, that it's going to be fruitful in the end. So let me exhort this. This is about, God instructing parents, explaining the meaning of God's commandment to their children when being questioned. So emphasizing that Israelites passed slavery in Egypt and God's deliverance, ultimately urging them to obey God's laws for their own good and righteousness. This was the time, when God decreed to them, that you have to honor your father, you have to be, obey God and so on, because that is the covenant that we have between us and God, so that we can live on, and with our family we can continue this Christian value. We must be determined to rest or pull something from others person, the initiative from school peers and the media, so that we can really teach them well. So again, prayer is essential, personal as well as family prayer. We do our personal prayer as well as our family prayer. And that brings me to our conclusion. So, as what Pope John Paul II in Familiaris Consortium, in summary, it says the future of humanity passes by way of family. So, how beautiful that is, diba? So, the future of humanity passes by way of the family. We need to strengthen Christian family life in order to defend God's creation and to renew the face of the earth, which is really our mission of Couples for Christ. And for that, may God be praised. Stop recording.